Oh shit!
You've got to be
Make it
on the
focus.
stilts
I need up.
and up in the air.
Nice.
Yes, I'll get uppies.
Oh, let's see. Where can I get
I
to?
fucking
Let's
Oh,
face it.
damn viewers.
Okay,
Dead.
can everybody see
You're
me?
dead.
Everybody hear me? Are we all good?
Oh shit.
Everybody all good down there?
Ah, he's
Woo!
over there.
Oh yeah.
We
I
need
can
one
protect
side.
it.
Yeah.
He's up
We
there.
need more. We need weight modifiers.
Up as in I gotta strain my neck.
Oh shit!
Oh, there he is.
Whoa.
What works? Oh, trying to be upside down. Yeah, we gotta come to terms with it. Being upside down is a whole new thing. Maybe we can convince Aline to tell us about the crazy stuff she's been doing in her Escher Stairs space with the ray casting. There's a new automatic system that will let you just walk around.
I'm doing that too.
Oh yeah, you're working on something
Yeah,
like that too.
Well, I already have it working on that one. I just look at the wall and it flips me onto that wall.
Yes, that's kind of it. Aline's been doing one that it can handle if you go over the edge as well.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's loads of crazy stuff. She's been going nuts with it. I'm sure.
Can
I'm
I
sure
try a
at
new
some
method
point.
of flying?
Oh, the menu.
No, without the menu. You just grab
Oh, no.
anything you want and you
Grab
put
it and
it on
stick
top
it
of
into
your
your head.
head. Yeah.
Yes. There you go. And he's gone, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a crazy couple of weeks where it's all crazy. You can do crazy stuff. Crazy styles. Look at that. Just put a ball on your head. That's all you need to do. Just stick a ball on your head and then
Oh, I'm stuck.
you can fly. Yeah. Oh, God. Is this
My
distracting
ball.
or confusing for anyone? Or is everybody
Oh
good?
no, not at all.
Good with me just
No, I'm
hanging
good. This sounds like
mid-air.
Just
Well,
adds to my
this is-
cognitive decline.
I'm glad. Mine too. I might just stop here and just I might just stand on the stairs.
Isn't this
is that okay?
Isn't this therapy? I'm here for therapy.
Look at this. Look at the character controller, right? Doesn't matter what. Look at those stairs. They still work just perfectly. Doesn't matter what angle you're at. Stairs are stairs. Oh, I nearly fell off.
How are you changing your angle like
Ooh.
that? I can't even figure that
Oh,
out.
nice.
Oh, really? You really not sure how to do that, Barry?
Well, would I ask if I was? And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, but no.
Yeah,
don't
fair
know.
enough. Well,
Is it
there's a thing
something
called-
only you can do?
No. There's a thing in the menu in the new advanced settings screen. Probably the best toggle switch that we have, right? Which is it's called use gravity tilting. And then once you do
Oh,
that,
okay.
there's some buttons over here on the wall, and you click on the top
Ah.
one with your cursor, and it'll put you
Okay.
sideways.
Everybody
we've
knew
got-
that except me, right?
Maybe
Whoa.
not. Honestly,
Oh,
people
no.
might
It works.
appreciate it now. We're probably going to see a lot of people go sideways now.
Oh, look, there's very normal and very sideways.
We can just
Oh, yeah.
we can all go
Sorry, Lisa,
sideways
I
and
didn't mean
just
to
run the
bump
whole
into you
event
like that.
like this.
This is very
Sideways.
strange. Whoa.
For the sake of it.
Okay, what if you want to get out of this? Oh, I guess you go to the menu.
You can turn off gravity tilt at any time if you want to get out, or you can probably press another one of those four buttons. I can't remember which.
I have to admit, this is more surreal.
All three at the
it's like
bottom reset you.
It's
I see.
added a new dimension to what we're doing.
Very much so.
Oh, and we can
I
go.
thought it'd be fun
we can
to
go-
check out this space because I think fairly soon we're going to be working on a lot of the things that are in here and starting to kind of expand them out. So,
with the Sigma.
yeah.
How did the
For
ball
instance,
get
right,
on the
some
side
actual
wall?
things,
How did the ball get on the wall? Oh,
there's basically a bunch of pass-through controls, right? Is something that we're working on at the minute, which is a fancy way of saying that when you've got an object in your hand, the object might be able to take over some of your controls, right? So a good example of
real
that.
world object.
Yeah. Like for instance, one of these guns you pick up, and while it's in your hand, you pull the trigger and it shoots. Right. So the trigger is an event or an action, let's say, and there may be several of those. In fact, it'll be quite as simple as you might be able to use the trigger or other buttons on the controller, or maybe the joysticks might have special controls whenever
Okay.
whenever you've got an object in your hand, right? So that could allow for a lot of really cool things. Uh,
Nice.
we've already got part of that, in fact, built out in Banter already. Some of you may have been to a similar space that's kind of like this. Doesn't have as much of the network synced stuff in it, but it does have some guns that can fire. And those guns are using the trigger system, right? So when they're in your hand, they automatically disable the Spider-Man ropes, and then they'll shoot instead of whatever that is, let's say. And I think it could be pretty cool, right? So something I've been working on is a selfie camera, right? I'm working on a new integrated selfie camera that you'll be able to use in every space. In fact, I'm on a special build right now that has that camera, and I can just pull it up from my quick menu with a simple little camera icon in any world, which is cool. It's also integrates our F7 camera, if any of you are familiar with that. That's the 2D mode that our boy Shoseki is using right now to stream this event. And I'm sure a lot of people, Dead Zed or others, have used it as well. Well, both are kind of one and the same. And when you start to integrate that with things like the trigger options and maybe even joystick controls in the future, then maybe everybody gets their own personal drone that you can fly around and use it to take pictures or hopefully videos in future, right? That it could be quite cool that you have like a selfie camera screen that while it's in your hand, you know, uh, the joysticks allow you to fly the camera around, or the triggers take the pictures. All the controls become at your disposal. So that actually, to some degree, already exists. At least I have a camera that you can grab with both hands, and pulling the trigger takes pictures. So yeah, we've already started with some of that, and we're going to continue with that. And I guess in a nutshell, right, what it means for you guys is that you'll be able to throw things into your worlds that are super interactable, that people can just jump in and play with straight away, like a lot of the cool things that are in this space, but even go one step further and make those objects like crazy interactable, even more than that, right? So you'll be able to make guns that can shoot, or make control pads that can control other objects. You could make maybe a what was it we were talking about earlier? I was talking to somebody. I can't remember if it was Shoseki or not, but maybe you can make like an exoskeleton suit that you can pilot, like the one in Aliens, and you can grab these two handles, let's say, to control it and drive it around, or walk yourself around on elongated arms that are being controlled by your joysticks while you've got the handles in your hand, something like that, right? There's quite a lot of possibilities with this sort of stuff. And I guess for that last example, you'd also need a piloting system, right? So you can attach yourself to some arms like that. But yeah, that's also something that we've got in the works. And there is a basic prototype actually already out and already in the build. But yeah, we need to do some more work on it. We need to root out some bugs. There are undoubtedly some issues in there that need to get resolved, right? But yeah, I'm hoping that these sorts of things could become our staples, right? When you're making a space, to try and make it so that it's fun and engaging, so that people want to come back to it over and over. It can be just so handy to add in a couple of guns. They can shoot each other, or that kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I've been waffling for a while. I don't even know where anybody is if they're trying to ask questions. But let's say if anybody does want to ask a question, yeah, go for it. It does. So with the network synced objects, there's a system of ownership, and the last person to have touched the object effectively owns it. And because I own it, it means my physics system is pushing updates, and because my gravity is sideways, that means that I will. Have I got a door attached to me? Is there something attached to me? I can see a shadow. No. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's
Nope.
really strange. Anyway,
Whoa.
yeah. So with the network synced objects, whoever's the person in control of the object is the one that's generally pushing updates. So their local system is in control of it and affecting it and changing it. What do you guys think of this sort of stuff? Does it make you feel weird? Does it make you feel ill, or is it more comfortable than that?
It would be nice if it could go a little bit slower.
No, this is fine.
Slower. You want to? You can always reduce gravity, right? That's actually
No,
really
I was
fun.
thinking more in terms. I think it's the frame rate. It seems to be quite jittery.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, there's definitely still some stuff to polish, right? That's a big focus for us internally at the minute. And actually, there's already a lot of stuff polished. Hopefully, we should have an update out early next week with lots of gripes addressed and lots of issues solved. Lots of
Pony, what you do?
new things.
Also, don't get me
even
wrong. I think it is great. I think it's fantastic. But it's
Hello, Pony.
it's new, so
Have you managed to do a 360 on
Yeah.
the ladders yet?
Yeah, well, no, it's definitely.
I wasn't
we've
trying to
noted
climb,
it
I was just
internally
hanging.
ourselves as well. We definitely need to do a couple of performance passes, a couple
Nah,
of
just
memory
hanging.
passes. It's a very different approach how we're doing things
Having
now,
some trouble
and
there.
it has lots. It has a wealth of capability, but with that, comes a certain amount of responsibility too, and that means that we need to
Sure.
optimize things. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. We've got loads of.
So is it? Will it be possible to go into a space or a world and have all the settings set at a certain way so that everybody's playing the same game?
That's a great question. So there's a few different things that I think what we'll need to do is to make it possible for space creators, right, to be able to turn things on and off. Now we've kind of always it's always worked like that. Like right now, you can already disable things like teleport and Spider-Man mode, for instance. But yeah, in future there will very likely be other things, right? So we've been talking about the possibility of being able to resize your character. Maybe you can do that on the fly, make yourself larger or smaller. That will need to be limited. Certain things like the amount you can jump and stuff like that might be limited in certain spaces if we have a range there that you can even set, let's say, for instance, right, just to keep things fair. Yeah, obviously we'll want to try and find that balance, let's say, right, between things being fun and enjoyable, but also when people want to try and make games, they kind of come up against the least amount of friction, let's say, right? But yeah, in a nutshell, all of this stuff should be overrideable. You can turn off the gravity tilting, of course, except for people like Sebek who are just, whatever. They do whatever the hell they like. Nobody else can walk on the invisible ceiling right now, except for Sebek. There you go. Real time, raycast based madness.
So
Let's
I have
see.
a question.
Hit me.
So in regards to being able to toggle things on and off, well,
Yeah.
I'd like to request like the GPS tags. I love that, but maybe in certain spaces have the ability to turn that off.
Gotcha. So people can't find each
Like
other.
Yeah, so like jump scares and things like that. You know, I'll be like, yeah, I
Yes.
see you over there. You know,
Yeah, it makes
All right.
sense. Yeah, it kind of kills that. That's the kind of the sort of thing that we really want to try, and that's a good example, let's say, of the sort of thing that we want to try and avoid, right? Is to make it so you can still do jump scares and have live actors in there, and people can't very easily just turn on the radar to be able to find them. So yeah, that's a great one, and should be easy enough to do that, right? There's also a few other things as well that we've learned along the way, like uh, being able to automatically teleport whenever you join a space can sometimes break things. Depending on how you've set things up, you may have trigger colliders that are turning things on and off as you go through certain areas. And sometimes joining on a friend even can bring you somewhere where half the space hasn't loaded yet, or yeah, in a nutshell, it can make it tricky. So we're kind of evaluating internally how that whole teleport to functionality can work, right? And how being able to join on a friend can work, and how we want to make it so that spaces can limit that sort of stuff so that they can have a bit more control over the experience and make sure that things are working the way you want them to. But yeah, yeah, it's going to be a learning journey really along the way to find out what's the best thing to do. But early next week, we're going to start the process of finalizing what the settings menu is going to look like. So, a number of things that you can see there are probably going to make it to their permanent home in the menu. Things like dead zone and uh, gravity tilting, and maybe some other things which are also in the menu might end up becoming just system-wide defaults, right? So I'll remind anybody who's interested in sharing their preferred configuration. Some things will be locked in place in the next couple of days. So if you have any things that you really like, you want to see stay, you want to see configured a certain way, then please share that with us on Discord. While I'm talking about Discord, why not? I'll just keep waffling here until anybody stops me. But we're probably going to consolidate some of the channels of information we've got. We've got a new help desk, which is chocked full of information. We're going to be making some updates to it, especially around the new menu and the new UI in the game fairly soon. But once those are done, what we're likely going to do is consolidate everything into there, right? So that we can have everything in one place. We've got all the tools that people could need, and everybody will be able to access it, even those that aren't on Discord, as much as we all love Discord. So that's going to be exciting. We're gonna take all of the information that's there already in the ideas, in the support AMA, in the bug reports, and basically pull all of that into our internal system, get it all cataloged. And yeah, some of you might have noticed there's a new bug report field where you put in a little bit of info about what it is the problem is, which is great. It has made a significant change for the better in terms of how easily we can triage issues when they happen, right? So thanks to
Yeah,
everybody
welcome,
who's
Boone.
been putting in the hard yards and submitting those bug reports. I can assure you your hard work does not go ignored, and everything that you're reporting is getting cataloged, triaged, and put into a list where it will be given the proper attention. So thank you all for that. Please continue to do that if you're not already. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Let me see. I'm gonna have a look at the list of things that I've been working on for the last few days to see what's worth talking about. Yeah, I mean that's probably worth talking about. So for anybody who works on their own spaces, I put out an experimental Chrome extension into the Space Makers channel. It allows you to very quickly edit your space files, the files that you can quickly edit. You can edit them in the browser. You can just right click, edit the index HTML, edit the bull script, right? Got to get that bull script. Now you can edit it on the fly. And we're using the same code editor that Visual Studio Code uses, right? And we even have syntax highlighting. It's detecting different file types and highlighting syntax accordingly. So it does not have an undo history. That was something that somebody asked, so I said I'd mention it. It does not have that, so be careful with it. And it may still have issues, so also be careful with it. I definitely recommend just back things up before you do things, because it is brand new, and I would hate for somebody to lose any kind of data. So it is very much in beta, but something we were hoping might just help people who are who prefer to be able to make changes like that on the fly when it comes to changing scene settings or making quick video player changes, all that kind of stuff, the sort of stuff that we end up doing a lot. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Oh yeah, not that little. No, no, it's not. Yes, definitely. If not, I would highly recommend that you use some kind of version control. There's a number of different ones out there. GitHub is probably good for most people's purposes. It's always a good idea. It's actually a good point. We were talking about this recently internally that we may change how things work in Banter in order to give us more future proofing when it comes to spaces and how spaces work, and future upgrades, let's say, to Banter, to the engine, even changes. I'll tell you why we were talking about this. We were recently looking at Vulkan as an alternative to OpenGL, and maybe some of the benefits that could come with that. And yeah, what we realized is that unless your shaders were compiled at the time your world was built, there's a good possibility some stuff could be broken. So we're aware of how some other platforms tackle this problem. In essence, what they do, for anybody familiar, right, with Unity, is instead of creating an asset bundle and creating that runtime binary whenever you hit build, instead it creates a Unity package, right, which is kind of like the source files for your space. And then it does a background process behind the scenes to actually build your worlds from that on the server. And what benefit that could have is that if in future we did want to make upgrades, then we'd have basically all the files that we could have everybody's worlds regenerated automatically if it came to it, using those files, right? So that's just to give you guys a heads up of some things that we're thinking of internally. Something like that could mean that yeah, we could mitigate problems slowly over time if we migrated people over to this new system and started generating things on the server slowly but surely. A lot of worlds might receive updates and be transferred over, and then in the future it would make it easier if we needed to make significant engine changes. We have recently gone to Unity 2022. It's a serious major version jump in Unity, and it has so many far-reaching impacts. I'm glad things still work the way they do, but there's still a lot of things for us to figure out with such a big change. And this would just mean that we could take the heavy lifting off of your hands, in essence, when it comes to having to update your space whenever we try to keep the platform up to date, right, and try to stay on the latest engine features so that you guys can use the coolest stuff in your worlds. But yeah. What do you think, Elaine? Have you got have you got another question, Shoseki? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's quite interesting, right? You could have a bunch of potentially build time metrics that we could tap into there to be able to give you more information, right? It could be performance, it could be just stats on the space, how many polys, texture, memory size, all sorts of different things potentially. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Anyway, what do you think, Aline? Do you want to show people what you've been doing with the Escher Stairs space? Think it's in a good place?
Maybe. I haven't tested it after the last few builds. We can have a try, but no promises. I
Well, the
don't know
last
if
few
it's
builds
working.
have all been internal, right? Like I'm on a new
Yeah.
build, but
Wait, let me quickly jump over and test.
nice. Yeah, you guys are going to love the new selfie cam. I think it's pretty cool. I like the idea of being able to fly a drone around when you're in VR. And what's neat is that your 2D screen will show the camera feed. And you can be in VR flying around, but you could then stream that, right, with OBS or something else. So it works pretty seamlessly. It's pretty nice. It's also integrated with the menu in that you can still access the menu.
Okay,
Let's
seems
see.
to be working.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Keep
I
in mind,
figured as much.
it's not the main one. It's this one here. Yes. So,
Oh.
right. If I can take your attention quickly, so you see this panel here, and there are different settings. So I think this is actually a version where you have to enable and disable the different rays, so front, back, and hand at least once, because the start parameter weren't set correctly. Also, the priority order is currently not working because in this build unfortunately there is no support for the drop-down menu, but will be fixed. Okay, so reset gravity when no surface is found. That's a big one because if you have the front ray and you look at a wall and then it rotates, your front ray won't hit anything anymore and it will reset it. That's when you jitter around. So if you want to stay at the wall, then make sure reset gravity when no surface found is not checked. Some else you can just crank up the distance. This will also greatly improve. And what I absolutely like to do is using the front with an angle of, I would say about, I don't have numbers, but it's about 80% of the slider, and then the back one about 20% of the angle slider. So you have this little pizza piece as the front and the back raycast. This will make sure you're walking up to a wall that it will set gravity, but also makes sure when you're dropping over a ledge and your front raycast can't hit anything, then the back one is active. Also, they are working in a priority. So currently it's front backhand by default. This means when you have all three enabled, and if the front raycast hits something, then it will set the gravity and the other ones aren't even getting tested. When the front one isn't hitting anyone, then back and hand is still trying to test. When back is hitting something, then hand isn't tested, and so on. But yeah, just play a little bit around with it, and I highly recommend testing out the new Azure stairs on the left here.
Oh, Jesus.
Ooh.
Oh,
Shane, I got a new
I'm not
bug.
sure if this
I
thing
cannot. I need to rejoin. I cannot squat anymore.
can't squat.
I'm pressing down. I need to rejoin or something.
Gotcha. That's okay, Shoseki. I don't need to be megaphoned. Technically, the event is over, folks. So feel free to stick around. I'll stick around myself for a little bit longer. I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with these settings in VR. I'm not sure if they're doing anything for me.
No, they're good for me.
Yeah,
Are
it's
they?
fine for
Yeah.
me. Yeah,
I've
perfect.
cranked home distance
Yeah.
up to full,
Gotcha.
and it seems to
Okay,
be
well,
working really
Never
well.
mind. Must be a me problem.
Yeah.
Ignore me as you were.
It's working great. Whoa. And I fell off.
Yeah, Shane. So this is an older version, so maybe there are still some issues. New version should come latest tomorrow.
That's cool.
Also, I'm going to post this little setup. It's just a prefab you throw in your scene, and then you can just use this everywhere you want, or just build a kit bundle and then just put it in any already existing space.
Would this work in the Infinite Castle then? I wouldn't have to add colliders everywhere because that place is pretty big. It would just make it so I'd have to walk anything, or would I have
So
to
Shane,
rebuild the
should I
entire
send
thing?
a bug
As long
report on
as you
this?
have
Because I
colliders, it
cannot,
will work.
Oh, it's got colliders. Yeah, I didn't know if I'd have to have like cubes and trigger blocks
No.
everywhere to. No.
Oh, wow.
Colliders.
Yes.
Yeah,
I will
but I haven't
give that a
seen
whirl.
and
It'll be
things.
very
Yes.
interesting in that space.
I have seen it in other spaces as well.
Currently, it's only working on the
Nope.
default layer,
I
user
can't seem
layer
to
1,
And I
and
tried
the
to
grabbable
rejoin
layer.
the space and
But
then
you can
went
change
weird.
this.
What settings are you on?
So
Well,
there's just an option which layers you want to
That's weird, I
include.
haven't seen
no,
that.
that's fine because
yeah,
sorry, the
do
default
something.
I
layers
would
and
like
the
it to
grabbable
go
layers
Oh, no.
don't need to because I've got the water layer. But seeing as that's a slide, I'd rather not people fall out
How
the
do you
slide.
spell crouch? Crouch?
Oh my
So-
gosh, we have in winter sport, we have a crazy version of that because that's the gravity you can't slide anymore, but we wanted to use gravity
And you left
tilting on
everything as
slides.
default?
So what we are doing when you go to test.band.ing, you have the same panel,
Oh no.
but in this version, when you go on a slide, it uses gravity tilting, but it also pushes you constant forward. So it just applies force to you all the time, and it's just so freaking crazy going through the tunnel slides with the system.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Wow.
a mirror. Wow,
Yeah, I'll try
look at
this
that.
in.
I didn't know my vibe.
Will I
Yeah,
have
You
to
can
I
stare
update
update
at
it to
it.
the new
You
Unity
can
version to make
stand
this
in
work?
it
No,
I
and
no,
won't
no.
have.
stare
No?
It works
at it.